Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We were looking at the fifth Brahmanam of the third chapter, which is called Kahola Brahmanam, because Kahola is the person who is asking the question. In fact, his question is the same as whatever was asked before by Ushasta. Okay, he is also asking Yadeva Sakshad Aparokshad Brahma Ya Atma Sarvantaraha Tam Me Vyachakshva. And even the initial answer is the same. Yeshata Atma, Ta means here te, actually you are. So this your Atma is the one which is Sarvantara, which is there within all the beings. So this is the answer given here also. Then again there is a question here. Katamaha Yajnavalkyaha Sarvantaraha. So how is it that you are saying that it is Mahi Atma which is there in everybody, correct? In all the beings. So which is that Atma? You are saying it is Mahi Atma, but Katamaha means which is that within all? Like this he is asking. Then now the answer is slightly different from what he already said. So previously, Yajnavalkya said that it is the one which is there as the seer of sight, hearer of hearing, like that. Basically pointing out that this Atma is something separate from the body-mind sense complex, okay, with which anyway everybody has an identity. But now he is pointing out something different, that the real true nature of this Atma, how it is, and by knowing which one can become free from bondage, whatever is the bondage one feels, being a limited conscious being confined to a particular body-mind sense complex, one has to become free of that. So for that, what is the knowledge required? That is being talked, and also sannyasa as a means for gaining this knowledge and assimilating this knowledge also is talked about. Now in this context, we already saw that Bhartru Prapancha and even some others, I think, take these two Atmas are different Atmas, because first question is Jivatma, second question is the Asamsari is presented here. First question, if you see, it is only presented as Deha Vyatirikta Atma, the Atma, the self, which is something which is different from the body-mind sense complex. That Atma, they take it as Jivatma. The second Atma which is presented here is Paramatma, because Paramatma is the real Asamsari according to them. Jivatma is Samsari, Paramatma is Asamsari. But the problem for all these people is both the Atmas are asked, the question is asked as Sarvantaraha, correct? And the answer also is saying, this Atma is Sarvantaraha, correct? How do they then account for that? It's a problem then. You have two different Atmas. There is a Jivatma, which is also Sarvantaraha, which is pointed out as this Atma. Then there is another entity they are proposing now, Paramatma. That also is pointed out as this Atma and Sarvantaraha. It is also there within all the beings, but it is free from hunger, death, etc. It is Asamsari. Now this looks weird, correct? But that is the kind of Siddhanta other Acharyas are presenting. In this context, Bhashyakara himself raises this question. So this Ushasta in the previous Brahmana asked the same question. Now Kahola is also asking the same thing. Is it about same Atma or different Atma? Correct? Ushasta Kahola Abhyam Eka Atma Prishtaha Kimva Bhinna Atma. No. So the questions were asked, they were asking about the same thing or not. Now, the Purva Pakshi, those who have different Siddhanta, they say Bhinnav iti yuktam, it has to be different. That Atma is about Jivatma, this Atma is about Paramatma and all. Because the same question cannot be asked again, there will be Punarukti dosha and all they are saying. So Prashnayoho Apurunaktatva Upapattehe. Only if you say that it is about two different Atmas, the Punarukti dosha, Punarukti means repetition, repeating the same thing, saying the same thing again. That is considered as a dosha, defect. So we can overcome that defect. So, and also they are saying if they both are asking about the same thing, one question is good enough, correct? Why should we have two questions? Second question will become anartha, it will become useless. And also you cannot say that the second question is an arthavada or anything. It is not like that. It is not some, you can explain it away like a figurative speech or anything. Therefore, it is, those two questions are about two different atmas only. One is the Kshetrajna or the Jivatma, another is the Paramatma. So Kshetrajna Paramatma Kyav iti Kechit Vyachakshate. Kechit here is the Bhartr Prapancha whose vritti Bhashyakara is negating in many places, and which was supposedly in vogue at that time. Okay, so that's why he is taking that and negating that view. So in defense of the Siddhanta, what does Bhashyakara say? He says, whatever you say is not correct. Tanna. Why? Because the answer is te iti pratignyana. In the answer, in both the cases, the answer is yesha ta atma. Ta, there is te really. Because of the sandhi, the ekara becomes akara. That ayava sandhi. It becomes I actually, a plus yakara, but yakara will go away if it is followed by a vowel. So that is a sandhi rule. So the te means you are, this your atma is the one which is there within everybody. Like that, it is pointed out as your atma only. That is the pratignya. The initial answer itself is your atma. The same answer is there to start with at least. And then because the atma is so sukshma, subtle and all that, initially something was said, then some other special things are said in the next answer. That is why two times it has to be asked and all that. That is the parihara which Bhashyakara will say. But anyway, by pointing out this, if it is Jivatma, Paramatma, they both cannot be your Atma, correct? That's what Bhashyakara is going to point out here. So he says, Yeshata Atma iti prativachane pratignatam. So in the answer, prativachana, initially what was actually proclaimed, you can say. It was proclaimed. It is your Atma. This your Atma is the one which is the self of all, like that. And so he explains that further. Nacha ekasya karyakarana sanghatasya dvau atmanam upapadyete. So only one body, Ushasta or Kahola, they are asking, correct? And Yajnavalkya is pointing to their body mind sense complex and only saying this your Atma. So in the same karyakarana sanghata, the compound, correct, of this physical body and the subtle body, you cannot have two atmas. It is not possible. It's not tenable. There is only one self which is having identity, correct? The I identity is only one with reference to one body mind sense complex. Two selves cannot be there. It is not possible. It's not tenable. So dvau atmanau na upapadyete. Okay, एक ही कार्यकरण संघा एको ही कार्यकरण संघातः एकेन आत्मना आत्मवान. So he is explaining the same thing further. He says one body mind sense complex becomes the one with self, correct? Atmavan means the one with the self. The body is having a self, and that self is, it is becoming the one with self by having only one self, not two selves, correct? So ekena atmana atmavan bhavati. Because sometimes we say dhanavan, correct? One who has dhanam. Means you don't have only 1 paisa or anything, correct? You can have even 10,000 rupees. You are still dhanavan. But in the case of Atmavan, you are the one with the self, means there is only one self. There are no two selves in the same body. Understand that? Unless you are possessed or something, which is a different thing, I think. Okay, even then that we explain the possession and all in a different manner. So, ekena atmana atmavan. Nacha ushastasya anyaha kaolasya anyaha jatitaha bhinnaha atma bhavati. So, ushastas atma is jivatma. Kahola's atma is paramatma. You cannot say that, because in the answer it is clearly said this your atma, correct? How can you then say that Ushasta's atma is jivatma, Kahola's atma is paramatma? Then they'll become two different categories, correct? They are two different things. It will become like that. But like that, there is nothing like that. Ushasta's atma and Kahola's atma are the same atma. You cannot find any difference from a standpoint of which category or species or whatever it belongs to, correct? Which class it belongs to. So, jatitaha bhinnaha atma na bhavati. The self of both Ushasta and Kahola are same. At least you have to accept that they belong to the same category or class or species. It cannot be something totally, it's different, like Jivatma and Paramatma. And also Dvayoho Agaunatva Atmatva Sarvantaratva Anubhavatte. Also, if you take both of them as primary self, correct? The Jivatma also is the primary meaning, the individual self. In one case, you take Jivatma as the primary meaning of Atma. In another case, also you are taking the Paramatma as the primary meaning. And then, but both of them are Sarvantaraha also, how can you say? That also doesn't make sense. That is also untenable. Then one of them you have to say is Gauna. Gauna means the figurative usage. Atma word does really you cannot use. But even if you say Agauna, still the Sarvantaraha, how you are going to explain? That's a problem again. So, whether you take first, he is saying what? Agaunatva Atma, Atmatva, Sarvantaratva, Anubhavatte, he says. For both of them. For both the Atmas cannot have the primary meaning of self. And also both of them cannot be the self of all. Okay, the other option is what? Yadi Ekam Agaunam Brahma. Okay, we take Brahman alone as the primary meaning of Atma. Paramatma alone is real Atma. Okay. The other is only figuratively used. Okay. Gauna usage means basically it is like a figurative usage. Like saying Simho Manavakaha. The student is a lion means he is not really a lion. Correct? He has some qualities like a lion. He is brave like a lion or whatever. Or he walks, he has hair like lion. In fact, some people used to call me. Initially, I had a lot of hair, even when I was in the US in early 90s. So I had a lot of hair. Then people used to call me Jai Simha. Instead of Jai Shankar, they used to call me Jai Simha because they said that your hair is like that. So that is the Gauna usage, correct? It is Gauna, means based on some guna, some similarity in some quality, you are using another word like that. So one usage is Agaunam, means it is primary usage, and another, that is Brahman. Then the Itarena Avashyam Gaunena Bhavitavyam means what? One usage is Agauna, other becomes Gauna then. Gauna usage. It is only figurative usage. Okay. Even then what? Tata Atmatvam Sarvantaratvam Cha Viruddhatva Padarthana. Even then, how can the Agauna Atma be Sarvantaraha? That also is a problem. Both of them cannot be primary Atma because there is only one Atma for a particular body. And even if you say one is primary, another is not primary, still the Sarvantaraha is a problem. How can you reconcile the fact that even the Agona Atma is there in all the beings? That is a problem which they can never reconcile, that contradiction, correct? So that Viruddha Tattvam is there for the meaning of the words. Also what? Yedi Ekam Sarvantaram Brahma Atma Mukyaha Itarena Asarvantarena Anatmana Amukyena Avashyam Bhavitavyam. So if you say okay, Brahman alone is Gauna, Mukyam Atma for us, means anything other than the Atma is Anatma, correct? You may call it Gauna Atma and all that. But even if you say it is figuratively Atma also, it is not really Atma, correct? Even if you say Simho Manavakaha, Manavakaha is not really a Simha, correct? He is only an Asimha. So the other will become Anatma then. It's not even really Atma because it is not having the Mukhya, the main meaning of the self. So all these problems are coming. If you say there are two Atmas and all that. Therefore, what Bhashyakara says, Tasmat. Finally, he says, therefore, what Ekasya eva dvihi shravanam. Only one Atma is being asked both the times. Okay, both the times the question is about the same Atma. But why then two times it was asked means he gives Vishesha Vivakshaya. Because the first answer did not convey the entire thing. So Kahola wanted to know more about this Atma, which is Deha Vyatirikta Atma. Correct? The first answer is all about how the Atma itself is different from this Deha, because it is the hearer, and Deha means here both the physical body and the subtle body. So by pointing out this consciousness as a separate entity, which is the one to which everything becomes evident, correct? Even whether your eyes are seeing or not, who knows that? Whether your ears are hearing or not, to whom it is becoming evident? Whether your tongue is tasting or not, to whom it is becoming evident? Like that, if you look at it, the conscious entity is a separate entity. I am always that conscious entity alone, because that consciousness alone is there with me all the time. That is the only thing which is always there with me. Everything else comes and goes. Whatever comes and goes cannot be an intrinsic nature of me, correct? So finally, this kind of an analysis, in fact, anybody can easily do and arrive at it, that I am a conscious being to whom everything becomes evident. And whatever is becoming evident to me, known to me, cognized by me, is all Anatma. It is all not me. Whatever I know is not I. That is the simplest of vichara one has to do, and you have to keep doing that, in fact, because for everybody, the Dehatma Buddhi is so entrenched. It is entrenched across lifetimes. Understand that. It's not, and even in this lifetime, how much it is there, because even if you wake up anybody even from sleep and ask who are you, they are going to only tell that I am so and so. Everything is with reference to the body mind sense complex, correct? That is the natural answer. Even if somebody wakes up from coma also, he has some identity with that body mind sense complex only. It is so natural, sahaja. To break that and understand once becoming evident to me is not really I. That is a big leap. It's a quantum jump, you can say. Okay. So that has to happen. That takes some effort. Okay, that's some sadhana and all that. So there is no problem in having another question about this Atma, because Kahola wanted to know more, something special about this Atma, something more about this Atma, some Vishesha, additional Vishesha he wanted to know, correct? Vishesha Vivaksha means he had an expectation of knowing something more, something special about the Atma, although he understood whatever was said already, that Atma is free from the body mind sense complex. It is they have Vyatirikta Atma, that much is clear. But is it still only one Atma? Is it still the one which is there as the Atma of everybody? It is limitless or limited? So many questions can be there. Is that Atma still bound? Is it a samsari, asamsari? So all these things, there can be an expectation of more, knowing more about this Atma. So the second question is valid. There is no problem in this second question. So Bhashyakara, what he says further. So the Dvihi Shravanam Vishesha Vivakshaya. Okay. And also Yattu Purvoktena Samanam Dvitiye Prashnantaraha Uktam Tavan Matram Purvasya Eva Anuvada. So he accepts that some repetition is there, correct? In the sense that the answer, the first part is the same, correct? Yeshata Atma Sarvantaraha, that much, whatever is there. That is a Punarukti only. There is no problem with that. Okay. In fact, in Vedanta teaching particularly, Punarukti is not at all a dosha. In fact, Punarukti is like Nididhyasanam. In fact, the subject matter is very, very simple. I can teach you Vedanta in 1 hour. I can keep teaching you the entire lifetime also. And Punarukti will obviously be there. I have to repeat myself. But repetition is not a problem really, because repetition is going to help you in assimilating the teaching. So he says, wherever it is the same as whatever was said before, correct? Purvoktena samanam means what? Whatever is same as whatever was in the previous, from the previous answer, whatever is same in this answer also. Dvitiya Prashnantaraha Uktam, whatever was said in the second, up to that, Tavan Matram, that much only I accept. It is a Purvasya eva Anuadaha. It is the repetition of whatever was said before. But tasyaiva anuktaha kashchid visheshaha vaktavyaha iti. But about the same Atma, something more special has to be said. That's why the second question has been answered. And answer also is like that. Yajnavalkya says something different, correct? So now, okay. Now the Purva Pakshi or even a genuine person can question, correct? So he is asking, Kaha punaha aso visheshaha iti uchyate. What is this vishesha you are talking about? What is something special about this Atma which has to be said means? So, Purvasmin prashne, Asti vyatiriktaha Atma, yasya ayam saprayojaka bandhaha uktaha iti. So, in the first prashna, the answer was, as I told you, Asti vyatiriktaha Atma. So, there is a self which is separate from the body, correct? So, Deha vyatirikta Atma was mentioned, and also, yasya ayam saprayojaka bandha, and one with who is bound also. The very identity with the body mind sense complex itself is a bondage. Okay. So the bondage and all that also was discussed in previous Brahmanas, if you remember. So Bhashyakara is also pointing out that there is a Deha Vyatirikta Atma, but that Atma is bound by wrong identification or wrong identity. Okay. And what is the one which is basically the cause for that? It is caused by, again, karma and all that. We saw that. It keeps going on and on. Life after life. So that was already said. Then for the Dvitiya to what? Tasyaiva Atmanaha Ashanayadi Samsara Dharma Atitatvam Visheshaha Uchyate. Now, the Atma which is separate from the body, fine. But is it still bound? Does it have any bondage? Is it limited? Means no. That is what is said in the second answer, especially. The Atma, which is separate from the body mind sense complex, cannot have any dharma of the body mind sense complex. Understand that. Any Atma dharma you take as a dharma, as a quality of yourself, it is all only superimposition, correct? It's all only adhyasa. You are taking the anatma dharma as atma dharma and suffering. All suffering is because of this superimposition only. And even atma dharma, we take it as anatma dharma, in the sense that you think that the body is sentient, mind is sentient and all that. Mind doesn't have any inherent consciousness or sentience. That is only a borrowed sentience. Okay. So both ways there is a superimposition. Atasmin tad buddhi. That's what we say. Whatever is not there, you take it as though it is there. So because of that only all these problems are there. In reality, this Atma is free from all the problems which you think you have, correct? What are all the problems? Most basic problem for everybody is hunger. You go to anybody and ask, why did you do this? Many people will say, because of this stomach. Papi pet ke liye. Even in Hindi, there is one dialogue like that, I think. Vaittu polappukaga, they will say in Tamil. So even if somebody is doing some papa karma, something wrong, at the end of the day, if you ask that fellow, he'll say, no, it is because of hunger only. Hunger and thirst. You take yourself as an angry person, thirsty person. Although they are all dharmas of prana, correct? Hunger and thirst are all prana dharma. It's not really atma dharma. But one takes oneself as a hungry person, thirsty person, and for that purpose, then you are ready to do anything. So, but in reality, what atmanaha, ashana yadi, samsara dharma, atitatvam, atma transcends all the dharmas like hunger, thirst, etc. Those are all samsara dharma. Those are all the dharma of the becoming world only. It's all anatma dharma. And it's got nothing to do with atma, in fact, in reality. So atma transcends all that. It's like in dream you are hungry, correct? It doesn't affect the waker in any way. Or in waking you are hungry, you go and eat a lot in dream. Does it satiate you as a waker? Means no. So like that, it's a totally a different order of reality. Atma is of a totally different order of reality. So all these things in the samsara, they do not even touch the Atma. Atma is untouched by any of these things. There is no connection at all, in fact. So it transcends all these things. Atma is not in space-time itself. So where can you have any connection with whatever objects which are there? All these names and forms which are there in the space-time, they cannot touch the Atma. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan keeps on saying that he tries to point out this Atma is aprameya. It is not an object of any cognition. Okay, it is the eternal subject. Unless it is an object of some action or cognition, how can it be affected by anything? So he says, Achedyoyam, Adahyoyam, Akledyo, Shoshya Evacha, Nitya Sarvagata Sthanuhu, Achaloyam, Sanatanaha, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha. So the Shastras, knife, etc., cannot cut it. Okay, fire cannot burn it. Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Nachainam Kledayant Apaha. The water cannot drown it. Nashoshayati Marutaha, wind cannot dry it. And he repeats the same thing. Achet yoyam, adah yoyam. So it is uncuttable, unburnable. Adahyaha. Akledyo shoshya evacha. It cannot be dried, all that. It is nityaha, it is eternal. Sarvagataha, it is all pervading. Sthanuhu, it remains the same, always, unchanging. Achalaha, unmoving also. Not only unchanging, but unmoving. There is no movement or action or anything in our. It is achala. It is like a mountain. Mountains are called achala, correct? You have Venkata Chalaha, Shesha Chalaha, like that, achala. Because mountains, relatively speaking, mountain doesn't move. But Atma is the real achala. Okay. So anyway, this is Atma. It transcends everything. So that is pointed out here. Atitatvam Visheshaha Uchyate, Yad Vishesha Parijnana, having known this about the Atma, correct? This special characteristic of Atma, having known the Atma as it is. In fact, most of these things are talked about only to remove your wrong notions which you have. All the teaching is only to remove wrong notions. Once all the wrong notions are are removed, Atma is there as it is. It was always the same. Even when you had ignorance, you had the same Atma. After Jnanam also, it is the same Atma. There is no difference. It is already Nitya Mukta Buddha Swabhavaha and all that, correct? Nitya Mukta Buddha Shuddha, whatever you can add, all these adjectives. So, Yad Vishesha Parijnana, and also Bhashyakara, Sanyasa Sahasa Sahitatva, Sahitat. Because here we are talking about all these Putraishanayascha, Vittaishanayascha, Lokaishanayascha, Vyuthaya, Atha Bhikshacharyam Charanti is there. So, Sanyasa also is talked about here as a Upaya. So, Sanyasa Sasahitat, Purvokta, okay, Purvoktat Bandhanat Vimuchyate. So, whatever Bandhana, Samsara Bandhana was talked about, now by knowing the Atma like this, and with sannyasa also added as a means for assimilating this knowledge, you become free from all bondage. Bandhanat vimuchyate. You are no more the puny, limited self. You are the limitless. You are Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Prajnana Ghanam Brahma, all that. That is your reality. Aham Brahmasmi is the reality. Therefore, what? Tasmat Prashna Prativachanayoho Yeshata Atma Ityevam Antayoho Tulyarthata Eva. So up to the Yeshata Atma, it is Tulyartha, he says. It is the same. It is a repetition. But afterwards, especially certain things have been pointed out. So the question, the repetition of the question is not a big deal. Okay, Bhashyakara said this. Puru Pakshi is not happy. So what Puru Pakshi is coming now? Nanu Katham Ekasya Eva Atmanaha Ashanayadi Atitatvam Tadvatvam Cha Iti. So you say Atma is free from Ashanaya, Pipasa, etc. Correct? Hunger, thirst, and all that. But what do people experience? They say that I am hungry, I am thirsty. So Atma, I is used along with all these words, correct? Hunger, thirst. So how can Atma at the same time be free from all these things? And also one also experiences hunger, thirst, etc. Tadvatvam also is there. One is hungry, one is thirsty. But you say Atma is free from hunger, free from thirst, etc. How can this Viruddha Dharma be there? So Viruddha Dharma Samavayitvam. So in the Samavayitvam means inherence. How can two contradictory qualities inhere in the same thing? Okay. So Viruddha Dharma Samavayitvam iti. How can it be there? No, Bhashyakara is tired by now. He says, Na Parihritatvat. I have already discussed this point with you people, but you are making me repeat the same thing. Okay. So this is not a big deal, correct? We have already discussed this so many times. What is the answer? He says, Nama Rupa Vikara Karya Karana Lakshana Sanghata Upadhi Bheda Samparka Janita Bhranti Matram Hi Samsaritvam. So again he is explaining what is this samsara. In samsara only one is saying I am hungry, I am thirsty and all that, correct? So how does that cognition come? Means it is only Bhranti, it is erroneous cognition. It is delusional in fact. It is only Bhranti Matram. And how did this Bhranti come about? Okay, he says, Upadhi Bheda Samparka Janita Bhranti. This delusion has born because of the Samparka means your connection or relationship is there, sir. So once you identify with the Upadhis, there are different Upadhis. The Upadhi Dharma you take as your dharma, correct? Your qualities. The qualities of the Upadhi you take as your own qualities means then this delusion is born. And due to this delusion only you have all these problems. I am hungry, I am thirsty, etc. So Upadhi Bheda Samparka Janita. And what are all these Upadhis? Means Karya Karana Lakshana Sanghata. So that which is characterized by this Karya means the physical body and Karana is the subtle body, correct? All the instruments. So the effect and the instruments. Effect is the effect of the karma. Okay, that is Karya, which is physical body. The physical body, that which is characterized by the physical body and the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, the complex. Karya Karana Sanghata is the Upadhi. Okay, and what kind of body it is? Nama, Rupa, Vikara. So all this body, mind, sense complex, it has a name, it has a form, and it is also changing all the time. It has Vikara, it has modifications. Correct? Shad Bhava Vikara is there. Asti, Jayate, correct? Vardhate, Viparinimate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati, like that. That which has Nama, Rupa, Vikara. So it's all only due to wrong identification only. You take yourself like that. The entire samsaritvam is due to wrong identity. This has been, we said, asakrit avochama, he says. I have said that repeatedly, not just once. This has been explained so many times. Why you people are asking? In fact, I also talked about it even in another context when he says Viruddha Shruti Vyakhyana Prasangena Cha. So when you people talked about that, how can you have Veda Shruti, Abheda Shruti and all that? How do we reconcile? We had a big discussion, correct? You can go back in the same Brhadaranyaka Bhashya. In the Ajata Shatru Brahmanam also, it was all there. Viruddha Shruti Vyakhyana Prasanga is there. So if you go back there, also the same thing we discussed. It's all Upadhikrita only. Okay. So in fact, let me explain to you further how he says Yatha Rajju Shukti Rajju Shuktika Gaganadayaha Sarpa Rajata Malinaha Bhavanti Para Adhyaropita Dharma Vishishtaha. So like even the rope, the shell and the sky, okay, they become what? Rope becomes snake, Sarpa. Shell becomes Rajata, silver. And sky becomes dirty, Malina. But do they really become all these things? No. They are all becoming like this only. Why? Why? Because para adhyaropita dharma vishishtaha, because of being considered as having dharmas, but those dharmas themselves are there because of only adhyaropa, superimposition. By superimposing the dharmas of something else, we take them like this, correct? The rope becomes a snake, or the shell becomes silver, etc. So they are all para adhyaropita dharma vishishtaha only. It is not there inherently in them. In fact, that's what he says. Swataha kevalaha eva rajju shuktika gaganadeyaha. So by themselves they are same. They are always rope only. Rope never became the snake. You may have seen a snake on the rope, but rope, even while you are seeing the snake, it is rope only. After you know that it is not snake, it is rope also, it is rope. Even before that it was rope, it was always rope only by itself. If you look at it from its own standpoint, it never really changed or anything. Okay. Then what? Nacha evam viruddha dharma samavayitve padarthanam kaschana virodhaha. Therefore he summarizes, he says, all these viruddha dharmas and all fine, we have explained it to you. It's all only upadhikrita. So there is no virodha, there is no contradiction in this. Okay. Then what? Nama Rupa Upadhya no Nama Rupa Upadhi Astitve Ekameva Advitiyam Neha Nanasti Kinchana iti Shruteyaha Viruddheran iti Chet. Okay, now this is a very fundamental question. Even some people who are committed to Advaita, they may have this problem. What is the problem? Okay, you say it is all Upadhi Krita. But now you are accepting there is Atma, there is Upadhi, there are two things are there. Okay. This is where Satyam Mithya has to be clear. Understand that. Otherwise, this question will bother everybody. So the same thing this Purva Bakshi is asking beautifully. He says, okay, I accept that it is all Upadhi Krita. But in the examples we give, correct, even when you say Japa Kusuma and etc. So you have a crystal, then you keep a red flower by that side. Crystal appears red. Okay, crystal is not really having any red, but it is borrowing the redness from that flower and we think the crystal is red and all that. Fine. But then still there are two things are there. There is a crystal, the Upadhi Kusuma is there. Flower also is there. Similarly, here also you say Atma is there or Rajju is there. Then you are seeing Sarpa due to some Upadhi, let us say. Avidya itself is the Upadhi there. But even then two things are there. Upadhi and Atma. Then how can you reconcile statements like Ekameva Advitiyam, one, only one, without a second? There is no iha nana na asti kinchana nana. There is nothing, no manyness here. Okay. It's all only one. Oneness alone is there. There is no manyness here. All these statements are there. So now you are talking something which goes against Advaita. Now this Purva Pakshi has become ultra Advaitin. Okay. So iti shruteyaha viruddhyaran iti che. If you say like that also, no, na. Because this also we have said. The upadhi is not at the same order of reality as the self. Understand that? Upadhis have only dependent existence. From its own standpoint, Atma is Atma always. There are no upadhis. There is nothing. There is no badha or Advaita. Advaita Hani is not there because of admitting a Mithya Upadhi. That is the answer here. So here you can see here, na salila phena drishtantena parihritatvat mridadi drishtanta So the water is there, wave is there, foam is there, and all these things. In reality, water alone is there, correct? Wave, foam, etc. are only forms, but they do not exist by themselves. They cannot exist. They don't have any independent existence. So their existence is a dependent existence. And in fact, they are not really any substance, correct? There is no substance. It's only name and form. That's what we call Namarupa. Vritika ityeva satyam. That's what the Upanishad teaches, correct? Vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam Vritika ityeva satyam. That is the Mridadi Drishtanta. Mrid alone is Satya. It can be anything. You can say it is pot, it is plate, it is cup, it is spoon. You can make all these different things out of clay. Clay alone is Satyam. So how do I understand this now? Okay, you have a lot of jewelry, correct? You take it to the pawnbroker, you want some money, urgent money. Okay, so you take this, all your jewels to the pawn shop or whatever. There are many gold finance companies even in India. Now that financier, he is a jnani with reference to gold. Why? Because for him the name and form does not count. There is only one gold and only the weight of the gold counts. Gold alone weighs, correct? Namarupa has no weight. You may have sentimental value. Oh, this is my given by my whatever. My father gave me this ring, or this chain was given by my mother. You can have sentimental value for all these different jewelry. The pawnbroker is a jnani. He only sees gold. Gold alone has weight. Namarupa has no weight, and he goes only by the weight of the gold. Correct? Because that alone is the reality. So this also we have explained like this. Vritika ityeva satyam. Everything else is mithya. The Namarupa is mithya. Upadhi also is mithya. So he explains that further. What? Yadatu paramartha drishtya paramatma tattvat shruti anusaribihi anyatvena nirupyamanaha namarupe mridadi vikaravate vastuantare tattvataha nastaha. So when you really understand, yada means when. When here means you have jnana. Okay, for a jnani. So that is what even the jnana drishti is talked about. Even in Gita, beautifully Bhagavan says, Ya nisha pashyato munehe. Correct? Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami, he says. Yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. So whatever is night means whatever is not seen by the normal people, jnani is seeing that. Jnani is seeing only ekatvam, even though you can see all this mahabhutas and then bhautikas also. The 5 elements are there and elementals are there. All this whatever different variegated universe you are seeing, jnani is seeing only one Brahman everywhere. Because these things are only names and forms. They don't really exist. Normal people only see manyness and they take everything separate, everything real and all that. It's all only appearance. Correct? So the jnana drishti is different. When you have the jnana drishti, correct? Paramartha drishtya yada paramatma tattvat shruti anusaribihi, those who go along with the shruti. See here, Bhashyakara uses beautiful words. You have to surrender to the Shruti as a pramana. That is the best surrender. Some people talk about Sharanagati as a great thing and all that, okay? But they do not really surrender because they still want to retain some individuality. Then what kind of surrender it is? The Vishishtadvaitins talk about Sharanagati in a big manner, but they are not ready to surrender themselves. The individuality they don't want to give up. They say, still I will be an individual like some amoeba in the body of Bhagavan and all that, correct? I am still a separate individual only. They don't want to give up that. I don't know, they have some fear. Real Sharanagati is what means you surrender all the limitations. Then what is left means your limitless nature alone is left, correct? All limitations you surrender. Why are you holding on to all your limitations? Anyway, this is all born out of wrong knowledge only. It's all delusion. So surrender all your limitations. That is the real Sharanagati. You surrender all that. You surrender to the vision of the Shruti. Those who you go along with whatever Shruti is saying. Shruti is saying Atma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvam-asi. You go with that. Why are you holding on to all your wrong notions? Surrender all that. Give up. Okay. So those who go along with the Shruti, for them what? Anyatvena, Nirupyamane, Nama Rupe. So by others are saying, no, Nama Rupa is there. Everything is separate. Okay. Anyatvena Nirupyamana means by other pramanas also you can take. Shruti Pramana is telling you about the truth of everything. Other Pramanas are just reporting whatever is there. In reality, in fact, Shruti does not even contradict that. They are not talking about the reality of anything. Understand that. Other Pramanas, other sense organs, etc., even your Anumana is only basically, it's all reporting. They are all only talking about the Dharma. They do not reveal the reality of the Dharmi. Understand that. Shruti Pramana is talking about the Dharmi, the one who is having all the qualities. Whatever different things you are seeing, the reality of that perception of many is not the field of revelation of any pramana which we have. Understand that. Shruti alone talks about the reality of all the many things which we are seeing. So you have to surrender to that. Whatever may be revealed by other pramanas, Anyatvena Nirupyamane Nama Rupe, they are really only Nama Rupa, names and forms. They don't have any substance. So you take them as only Nama Rupa, go along with the Shruti. And Mridadi Vikaravat, Shruti itself says Nittika Ityeva Satyam. But Mridadi Vikara is all the modifications of clay you can talk about, but they are all only names and forms. Only the Mrit alone is Satyam there. Here also, all the modifications, the differences which you see are all only appearances in the self. Self alone is real. So that is the teaching of the Shruti. Go along with that. Therefore, what? Vastu antare tattvataha nastaha. In reality, there is another Vastu is not there. Vastu antara. There is only one Vastu. You may see so many things, but they all are only borrowing their existence from the same Vastu. There is only one Vastu in reality. There are not many Vastus. Understand that. That is the teaching. Vastu antare tattvataha nastaha. There is no another Vastu, another object in reality. Okay, what is that? Salila, Phena, Ghatadi, Vikaravadeva. So all the many things you are seeing, they are all like only waves, foams, or parts, etc. They are all only modifications, names and forms, vikaras. They don't have any substance. The substance remains as it is. Water is water, whether it is wave, foam, whatever you can call it. Clay is clay, whether it is part or whether it is some other form, etc. Gold is gold, whether it is ring, chain, whatever you call. Therefore, what? Tada tad apekshya ekameva advitiyam neha nanasti kinchana ityadi paramartha darshana gocharatvam pratipadyate. Therefore, the jnanis, they have no problem. They have this vision based on all these vakyas only. So, Based on these Vakyas, they have understood the Paramartha Darshana. Okay, the ultimate reality, they have understood. They go by that. They cognize the ultimate reality based on these Vakyas only, and all the manyness, etc. They just dismiss it as mithya, as only names and forms. It doesn't have any substance. So they understand it like that based on the same Vakyas only. So we have no contradiction with those Vakyas. Those Vakyas are only revealing Vakyas for us. They only reveal the truth, the reality of ourselves. Therefore, what? Rupa Vadeva Svena Rupena Vartamanam Kenachid Asprishta Swabhavam Api Sate Nama Rupa Krita Karya Karana Upadibhyaha Vivekena Na Avadharyate Nama Rupa Upadi Drishtihi Evacha Bhavati Swabhaviki Tada Sarvahayam Vastuvantara Asti Vyavaharaha Astitva Vyavaharaha. Okay. Now the Jnana Drishti Bhashyakara has talked about here up to this Pratipadyate. Okay. Now he is talking about the Ajnanis, the Samsaris. What Bhagavan talked about as correct Yanisha Sarva Bhutanam, their ignorance. So he says Rupa Vadeva Svena Rupena Vartamanam Kenachit Asprishtam Swabhavam. See, even though you think that Atma is having some Rupa Vadeva, but by itself, it is Asprishtam. It is not touched by any name or any form or anything. In reality, its nature is untouched. But people take it as with Nama and Rupa, etc. Correct? It is there only as itself. Swena Rupena only it is there. But in its own glory, it is there. In its very nature, without losing its nature ever. Correct? The Satyam, the word, Yadrupena Yenisitam Bhavati, Tadrupena Tanna Vyabhicharati iti Satyam. Correct? Once you have ascertained as this, it never changes its nature. So Atma is always there as itself, with its very nature being consciousness alone. But then you take this Atma as having so many different Nama Rupas and all that. Even though it is Asprishtam, it is not touched by anything. So Asprishtam, Asprishta Swabhavam api Sat, even though it is being there untouched by anything, but still what? Nama Rupa Krita Karya Karana Upadibhyaha Vivekena na avadharyate. You do not, those who do not discriminate and know what is Atma from Anatma, they mix up everything. They take all the Upadi Dharma and they have identity with that. Okay, it is all created by only names and forms. So Nama Rupa Krita Karya Karana Upadibhyaha Vivekena na avadharyate. They do not separate out the milk and the water, we can say. Okay, the Hamsa Pakshi is supposed to separate that. I don't know whether really Swan, we translate Hamsa as Swan, but I don't know whether real Swan bird can do that. But it is said Hamsa Pakshi, maybe they are talking about some other Pakshi. It is in Devaloka. It's not even there in this Loka. The Hamsa which they talk about is translated as Swan generally. In fact, Paramahamsa is translated as great swan and all that in English, which is a little funny, I think. But anyway, can you discriminate between the Atma and Anatma? If you cannot, then what happens? Nama Rupa Upadi Drishtihi Evacha Bhavati. Your Drishti is now only based on Nama Rupa Upadi. And that is natural also. Naisargikoyam Loka Vyavaharaha, like that Bhashyakara says in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Bhumika, in the beginning, in the Adhyasa Bhashya. This taking one thing as the other is Naisargika, means it is uncreated, means it is there. It is beginningless. Okay. It is there. That is Swabhaviki. For Ajnanis, it is the Swabhav. Naturally, it is there. Therefore, what? Tada Sarvahayam Vastuantara Astitva Vyavaharaha. Based on that only. Therefore, if you have If you do not discriminate between Atma and Anatma, then what? Tada, all this, you see everything as separate objects, yourself also as one more limited being, one more object within the space-time. And then you do Vyavahara based on that. That will be only samsara. There is no doubt about that. Therefore, what? Asti cha ayam bheda kritaha mithya vyavaharaha yesham brahma tattvat anyatvena vastu vidyate. So it is there. We accept that also. For ajnanis, it is there. What? Veda krita mithya vyavahara is there. The divisions are there. And based on that, again, everybody's, the transactional world is there, but it is mithya. It is not ultimately real, but it is there. That vyavahara we accept. And for those people, then other than Brahma Tattvam, something, other things are also there. They think there are so many tattvas are there. You go to an Nayayika and ask, they start with all these categories, correct? Dravya, Gunas, Samavaya, all that. So they say that so many things are there. Manyness only is there. So for them it is there. Vastu vidyate, Brahma Tattvat, Anyatvena Vastu vidyate, in the form of something other than Brahman, things are there for these people. Yeshancha nasti Paramarthavadibhi tu Shrutyanusareena nirupyamane vastuni kim tattvataha asti vastu kim va nasti iti Brahma ekameva advitiyam sarva samvyavahara shunyam iti nirdharyate. So for those which have the vastu other than Brahman, all this samsara is there. But what about others? The jnanis means yeshancha nasti, for whom Brahma tattvat anyat nasti. There is nothing other than Brahman. And for them what? Paramarthavadibhi. They are the Paramarthavadibhi. They are the ones who know the ultimate reality. And they have, how did they know it? Means they went along with the Shruti, the revelations of the Shruti. Shruti anusarena nurupyamanaha vastuni. So they have understood the reality of all the objects based on the revelation of the Shruti, of the Veda. And then they have analyzed, they know kim tattadaha asti vastu, what is there really and what is not there. Kim va nasti, nama rupa is not there really. Only Brahma vastu alone is there. Brahman alone is there. Ekameva advitiyam. Okay, Brahma ekameva advitiyam. Sarva samvyavahara shunyam. It is also, it doesn't have any vyavahara in it. No action, no change. It is untouched. Asprishtam. Vyavahara shunyam. There is no, there is not even a whiff of any vyavahara or samsara or anything in Brahman. They have understood that. Iti nirdharyate. So with this, tena na kaschit virodaha. So see, now there are two different drishtis. There is a ajnana drishti, there is a jnana drishti. And these two drishtis are there. From two drishtis, two different things are being seen and is not contradictory to each other. It depends on your outlook, correct? Like this, Bhashyakara again explains this. Further again, lot of Bhashya is there. We'll see next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.